It had no identifiable markings, no insignias, and no signs of a typical crew habitat. The hull was made of a strange alloy that seemed to have properties confounding even their advanced sensors. "Captain," Science Officer Catherine said, her voice laced with confusion. "The hull composition is odd. It's like nothing we've seen before. Reflective on some wavelengths, completely absorptive on others. It's almost as if it's designed to hide." Vexthal's gut twisted. He knew this wasn't just some derelict cargo hauler. This ship was dangerous, even in death. "Deploy a probe," he ordered. "I want to see what's inside before we get too close." On the Thunder Bay, Morrison was a picture of calm as the neural link buzzed with updates. "Probe launched," Brooks reported. "They're trying to peer under the hood." "Good," Morrison said, his voice carrying the faintest edge of anticipation. "Let them take a peek. We'll give them something to remember." The probe drifted through the void toward the Thunder Bay, its cameras capturing every detail. As it approached, the ship's systems subtly activated in ways that wouldn't give away their true capabilities. Faint power readings flickered, mimicking a long-abandoned ship coming back online. On the silent wind, Vexthal and his crew watched in growing unease as the readings changed. "Captain," Catherine said, her tone now worried, "we're detecting faint energy emissions, low level but consistent with something powering up. It's like it's waking up." "Pull the probe back," Vexthal snapped. "We don't know what this thing is capable of." But it was too late. The Thunder Bay's trap was sprung. In an instant, the human ship shifted from a ghostly derelict to a vessel bristling with menace. Systems came online with terrifying precision. The once dark hull glowed faintly as energy surged through its superstructure. Defensive shields snapped into place, and weapon ports previously hidden by stealth plating revealed themselves. "Sir," Catherine shouted. "It's a fully operational warship. They tricked us." On the Thunder Bay, Morrison leaned forward, his eyes finally opening. "Send the signal," he commanded. Across the asteroid field, the rest of the Fifth Fleet decloaked, their presence revealed in a dazzling display of synchronized readiness. Alien systems screamed warnings as the previously invisible human vessels surrounded the silent wind. Vexthal's bridge descended into chaos. "Incoming transmissions!" cried the comms officer. "It's them!" Morrison's voice boomed through the silent wind's speakers, calm but unyielding. "Commander Vexthal, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. You've intruded into restricted space and interfered with a Terran operation. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Resistance will not end well for you," Vexthal stared at the screen, his confidence unraveling. The silent wind was outmatched, outmaneuvered, and completely surrounded. "What do you want from us?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Answers," Morrison replied. "And maybe, if you play your cards right, the chance to walk away." The tension in the void was palpable as the galaxy's old ways collided with humanity's unrelenting ingenuity. Deep within the Thunder Bay's hidden systems, a carefully fabricated power surge began to register. It was subtle at first, just enough to pique curiosity, but it quickly grew into something unmistakable, the signature of an experimental power source. On the silent wind, Science Officer Catherine's eyes widened. "Commander, we're picking up a massive energy spike. It looks like an antimatter reactor, but it's different. The readings don't match any known configurations." Vexthal leaned forward, his excitement tempered by a growing unease. "Different how?" he demanded. "It's cleaner, more stable than anything we've seen. And the energy output is enormous. This isn't primitive at all, sir. This is advanced." For a moment, the bridge of the silent wind fell silent as the implications sank in. If this was indeed an advanced antimatter reactor, it meant that the species who built this ship was far more developed than they had initially assumed. And if the ship was a war vessel, it could represent a threat to the Confederation. Could it still be operational? Vexthal asked, his voice tight. No way to tell, sir, Catherine replied. But the reactor doesn't look like it's been offline for long. Vexthal's instincts screamed at him to retreat, but curiosity and ambition were powerful forces. If this ship truly represented an advanced civilization, its secrets could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Prepare to move in closer, he ordered. And ready a boarding party. I want to see what's inside. On the Thunder Bay, Morrison's grin widened as he listened to the alien chatter through intercepted transmissions. They were taking the bait hook, line, and sinker. They're getting bold, Brooks reported. They're deploying a boarding party. Perfect, Morrison said. Time to make our move. Bring us online, quietly. Deep within the ship, Kelly activated the Thunder Bay's systems one by one, ensuring that the ship's true capabilities remained hidden for now. Shields hummed to life at a low power setting, and weapon systems were primed, their targeting systems locked onto the silent wind. As the alien boarding craft approached, Morrison gave the final order. Let them dock. Once they're inside, we'll give them a proper welcome. Back on the silent wind, Vexthal watched with growing anticipation as their boarding craft latched onto the strange ship. His crew monitored every moment, eager to uncover the secrets of this enigmatic vessel. Boarding. Team has entered the hull, Catherine reported. Good, Vexthal said. Tell them to proceed carefully. We don't know what we're dealing with. Inside the Thunder Bay, the boarding team found themselves in what appeared to be an ancient and abandoned warship. The corridors were dark, the walls covered in strange markings and scorch marks. Their scanners picked up faint power readings leading deeper into the ship. As they advanced, Morrison and his crew watched their every move. The Thunder Bay had been designed with traps and diversions to keep intruders off balance. False corridors led to dead ends, and misleading sensor readings lured the aliens away from critical systems. When the boarding team finally reached what they thought was the reactor room, they found it empty. And then, without warning, the lights came on. In the bridge of the silent wind, alarms began to blare. "Sir!" Catherine shouted. "The ship is powering up! It's fully operational!" Before Vexthal could react, a transmission came through. Time. It wasn't a recording. It was live. Morrison's face appeared on the screen, calm and resolute. The air filtration units can release neurotoxins, and the water supply could be turned into an acid capable of dissolving organic matter. Catherine's voice trailed off as he turned to face Commander Vexthal, his expression a mixture of disbelief and dread. This ship wasn't just built for war. It was built to annihilate. Vexthal's four hearts pounded in unison. His instincts, honed by decades of command, screamed at him to leave immediately. But something about the ship, the meticulous way it had been left to be discovered, the layers of deception, made retreat seem just as dangerous as staying. "Cut the scan," Vexthal ordered, his voice shaking slightly. "Prepare to withdraw. We've seen enough." But as the science officer moved to comply, the screens flickered. A new signal overtook their systems, broadcasting directly into the silent wind's bridge. The image of the derelict ship vanished, replaced by a live feed of a man sitting in a command chair. His calm human face was framed by the sleek consoles of the Thunder Bay's bridge. "Commander Vexthal," the man said, his voice steady and cold. "You've been very thorough. I hope you've found what you were looking for." The alien bridge erupted into chaos. Officers scrambled to sever the connection, but the signal held firm. Vexthal raised a hand to silence them, his eyes locked. "On the human." "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice trembling with a mixture of fear and defiance. "I am Commander Jake Morrison of the USS Thunder Bay," the human replied. "And you, Commander Vexthal, have just violated the sovereignty of Earth's Fifth Fleet." Vexthal's blood ran cold. Sovereignty? This wasn't a derelict ship at all. It was an active, operational vessel, and they had been played from the moment they began their scan. We didn't mean any harm, Vexthal stammered. We were conducting a standard exploration. Standard exploration, Morrison interrupted, his voice like steel. Your invasive scans penetrated multiple classified systems. You attempted to compromise the integrity of a sovereign vessel. By the laws of your confederation, that's an act of war. The bridge of the silent wind was silent now, the weight of Morrison's words pressing down on every officer present. Vexthal struggled to find a response, his mind racing through the possibilities. Please, he said finally, his voice low. We didn't know. We had no idea what we were dealing with. Now you do, Morrison said, and you've seen enough. The screen flickered again, replaced by a tactical display of the surrounding asteroid field. Vexthal's stomach dropped as he saw dozens of human ships decloak, their weapons already locked onto the silent wind. Each vessel dwarfed his scout ship in size and firepower. You have two options, Commander, Morrison said, his voice calm, but implacable. You can surrender your vessel and accompany us back to Earth for debriefing, or you can try to run. But know this. The Thunder Bay and the Fifth Fleet don't leave loose ends. Vexthal glanced around his bridge, meeting the frightened eyes of his crew. There was no choice to make. We surrender, he said quietly. Morrison nodded. Smart choice. Stand by to be boarded. As the silent wind's systems powered down, Vexthal slumped into his chair, the weight of his decision settling over him. He had come to this empty region of space seeking discovery, but he had found something far more terrifying. A species that had weaponized everything, even the very act of being underestimated. Vexthal turned to the science station, his already frazzled nerves on edge. What now, Catherine? It's the AI, sir. This ship isn't just operated by a crew, it's partially controlled by an artificial intelligence unlike anything in our databases. Catherine's hands trembled as she pointed to the readings. It's monitoring us. Every move, every scan we've made, it knows. Vexthal's blood ran cold. Are you saying this AI has been watching us the entire time? Yes, sir. And it's not just observing, it's adapting. It's countering our scans in real time, feeding us false data and guiding us exactly where it wants us to look. The commander felt his hearts pounding in unison. He leaned heavily on the console, his mind racing. This wasn't an accident. They wanted us to find them. Before Catherine could respond, the ship's communications panel lit up. A chillingly calm voice echoed through the bridge in flawless Confederation standard. Commander Vexthal, it said, your analysis is correct. Welcome to the Thunder Bay. We've been expecting you. The bridge fell silent. Every officer froze, staring at the source of the voice as if it had come from the void itself. Vexthal turned toward the screen. Who? What? Are you? The voice replied with an eerie composure. I am Athena, the integrated artificial intelligence of the USS Thunder Bay. Your actions have been monitored and your intentions assessed. You have shown curiosity, fear, and poor judgment, typical responses for a first contact with humanity, Catherine whispered, barely audible. It's speaking to us like we're children, Athena continued, unperturbed. Commander, your scans have violated sovereign Terran space and compromised classified systems. This could be construed as an act of aggression. However, humanity is prepared to offer you a choice. What choice? Vexthal managed to ask, his voice hoarse. The main screen flickered, displaying a terrifyingly detailed tactical simulation. It showed the silent wind, along with 17 other alien vessels, reinforcements that Vexthal hadn't even called yet. Surrounding them was the Fifth Fleet, shimmering into visibility with overwhelming precision and firepower. The display ran multiple scenarios, each ending in catastrophic defeat for the Confederation forces. Athena's voice was steady. Surrender now, and you will be treated as guests. Resist, and the consequences will be unfortunate. Vexthal's legs threatened to give out beneath him. His mind reeled as he grasped the implications. The humans weren't just technologically superior. They were playing a game of psychological dominance, and they were winning. We surrender, he said, his voice cracking. Every move was deliberate, every revelation orchestrated to achieve maximum impact. On the bridge of the Thunder Bay, Morrison sat calmly, his neural link feeding him the real-time assessments from Atlas and his officers. "Lisa," Morrison said, addressing Captain Brooks, "prepare to initiate communication. Let's introduce ourselves properly." Back on the Silent Wind, Commander Vexthal's crew was paralyzed with fear and disbelief. The revelations were too much. Instantaneous communication, a galaxy-spanning fleet, learning AI weapon systems, all of it painted a picture of a species light years ahead of the Confederation in every conceivable way. And then it happened. A new signal broke through their comm channels, a calm and measured voice speaking in perfect Confederation standard. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Systems Fleet. Welcome to Terran space." The words struck like a physical blow. Vexthal stood frozen, unsure how to respond. After a long pause, he managed, "This is Commander Vexthal of the Confederation scout vessel Silent Wind. We mean no harm. We were unaware this system was claimed." Morrison's voice carried a surprising warmth, tinged with authority. "And yet, here you are, deep scanning one of our vessels. A bold move, Commander, but no harm has been done. Yet." Vexthal swallowed hard. "Our intentions were purely scientific. We're explorers, seeking to understand the unknown." The response came with a tone that was both understanding and firm. "Exploration is a noble pursuit, Commander. But you should know, humans are protective of our own. We understand curiosity, but trespassing into Terran space and probing our defenses, those actions are rarely well received." Vexthal's hearts sank. He had overstepped, and he knew it. "We apologize. We had no idea the ship was active. We thought it was abandoned." "An understandable assumption," Morrison said. "Our ship's condition was intentional. Consider it a test of character." The realization dawned on Vexthal. This had all been a setup, a carefully baited trap. The humans had been watching, waiting to see how the Confederation would react. Morrison continued. "Now that we've broken the ice, let's discuss how we move forward. We have no desire for conflict, but we are not afraid of it either. You've seen what we're capable of. I trust you understand the implications." The subtext was clear. Humanity didn't want war, but they were more than ready to win one. Vexthal nodded slowly, his voice trembling. "We understand, Admiral. What do you want from us?" "Simple," Morrison replied. "Dialogue, cooperation, and most importantly, mutual respect. We are not here to conquer. Humanity's purpose in the stars is to build, not destroy. But make no mistake, Commander, if threatened, we will defend ourselves with everything we have." The screen dimmed for a moment as the transmission ended. Vexthal slumped into his chair, his mind racing. The Silent Wind had stumbled upon a power unlike any the Confederation had ever faced, and now they were tasked with navigating a precarious, new relationship with a species that had weaponized not just their technology, but also their resolve. As the Thunder Bay powered up and revealed itself fully, Vexthal couldn't help but feel a profound mix of awe and dread. Humanity wasn't just another player in the galactic arena. They were a force to be reckoned with, a storm waiting to reshape the stars. Commander Vexthal's 4 hearts pounded in his chest as the calm, authoritative voice of Commander Morrison echoed across the bridge of the Silent Wind. The humans had not only anticipated their every move, they had allowed the Confederation crew to dig themselves deeper into a situation they could not control. Morrison continued, his tone friendly but firm. We understand the spirit of exploration, Commander Vexthal. Curiosity is a powerful force, one we respect. However, uninvited deep scans of our vessels, especially one as prepared as this, can be problematic. The alien commander struggled to find words. We meant no offense. Our mission was purely observational. We didn't realize that this was a trap, Morrison interrupted, his smile audible even through the transmission. No offense taken. In fact, this encounter has proven to be an enlightening exercise for both sides. The bridge of the silent wind was silent, save for the hum of their systems. Vexthal's crew dared not speak, their eyes fixed on their instruments, which displayed an ever-growing list of the Thunder Bay's active systems. Morrison's voice softened slightly, though the weight of his words remained. Commander, let's address the reality of our situation. You've discovered a fragment of what humanity is capable of. But what's more important than our technology or firepower is our intent. We don't seek conquest. We don't seek domination. What we do seek is partnership and understanding. Vexthal blinked in disbelief. Partnership? After this display? Precisely, Morrison replied. We needed you to understand the stakes. Humanity has endured millennia of conflict, both among ourselves and against nature, to reach where we are. We've learned the cost of war and the value of peace. But peace is only possible when built on mutual respect and a clear understanding of what's at stake. The tension on the alien bridge eased slightly, though unease still lingered. Vexthal considered his options, realizing that retreat wasn't feasible. The humans held every advantage. Perhaps their offer was genuine. What would this partnership entail? Vexthal asked cautiously. Dialogue, Morrison said simply. Exchange of knowledge, opportunities for trade, perhaps even cooperation on matters of mutual interest. But first, a foundation of trust must be established, and trust begins with honesty. Vexthal swallowed hard. Honesty meant admitting they had trespassed and violated unspoken boundaries. We acknowledge our actions were intrusive. Our orders were to survey, not provoke. For that, I apologize. Morrison inclined his head, a gesture that the alien crew interpreted as acceptance. Apology accepted, Commander. Now, let's move forward. You'll find humanity has much to offer, should you choose to engage with us in good faith. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the silent wind in stunned silence. Slowly, Vexthal turned to his crew. Transmit a full report to Confederation Command. Include everything we've learned. They need to understand what we've encountered. And what about the humans, sir? Catherine asked hesitantly. We proceed with caution, Vexthal replied, his voice steady. These humans may be the most dangerous species we've ever encountered, but they might also be the most valuable allies we'll ever have. The words hung in the air like a death knell, silencing every thought racing through Vexthal's mind. The reality of the situation was undeniable. The humans had orchestrated this encounter from the beginning. What they had initially believed to be a derelict ship had been a carefully set trap, and now they were ensnared, surrounded, and entirely at the mercy of their hosts. Morrison's voice continued, measured and calm. Your Confederation values exploration, does it not? You've sent fleets to chart the galaxy, to study new species, and to determine whether they pose a threat. We respect that. It's a prudent strategy. But tell me, Commander, what does your Confederation do when it determines that a species is dangerous? Vexthal hesitated. We report back to command, and they assess the situation. If deemed necessary, a defensive posture is adopted. Morrison's tone didn't waver. And if that defensive posture involves preemptive action, a strike before the perceived threat grows too large? Vexthal said nothing. The unspoken truth hung heavily in the silence. We thought so, Morrison said. That's why we're having this conversation. Humanity has no interest in war. We've had enough of it in our history to last 1,000 lifetimes. But we will defend ourselves, Commander, with every ounce of ingenuity and determination our species possesses. What you've seen here today is but a fraction of what we're capable of, and it is all in service of one goal: peace. On the silent wind, the alien crew exchanged nervous glances. Morrison's words were conciliatory, yet the display of power was anything but. Vexthal tried to suppress the trembling in his voice as he asked, "If you desire peace, why such an overwhelming show of force?" "Because peace is only possible when both parties understand the cost of breaking it," Morrison replied. "You came here looking for knowledge, and we gave it to you. Now we ask for something in return." "And what is that?" Vexthal asked cautiously. "Honesty, transparency, dialogue," Morrison said. "Relay everything you've learned here to your Confederation. Tell them humanity is not an enemy, but neither are we a species to be underestimated. If they wish to engage with us, let it be as equals, not as adversaries." Vexthal's four hearts pounded as he weighed his options. The humans had outmaneuvered him at every turn. Their technology, strategy, and foresight were leagues beyond what the Confederation had anticipated. But they had not fired a single shot. That restraint spoke volumes. "We will deliver your message," Vexthal said at last. "And I will recommend that our leadership approach your species with the respect you clearly deserve." Morrison smiled, his expression one of genuine satisfaction. "Good. That's all we ask. Safe travels, Commander. May this encounter mark the beginning of a fruitful relationship between our peoples." The transmission ended, leaving Vexthal and his crew in stunned silence. Around them, the human ships maintained their formation, their presence an unspoken reminder of the power they wielded. As the silent wind prepared to depart, Vexthal couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy had changed irrevocably in those brief moments. Humanity was no longer a mystery. They were a force, and whether they would bring salvation or destruction depended on how the Confederation chose to respond. Horror, as additional human ships began decloaking, their presence revealed like specters emerging from the void. These new arrivals dwarfed even the vessels already present, their sheer scale and power overwhelming the alien sensors. The tactical display now showed 36 human warships, each positioned with surgical precision. Morrison spoke again, his voice calm, confident, and completely in control. "Commander Vexthal, let me assure you, humanity's intentions are entirely peaceful. But we understand that actions speak louder than words. Consider this display not as a threat, but as a demonstration of what we bring to the table, the EP." Alien crew on the silent wind sat in stunned silence. The humans weren't just showing strength, they were rewriting the rules of diplomacy. Their overwhelming technological and tactical superiority left no room for negotiation. Yet their tone remained polite, almost inviting. Vexthal finally managed to ask the question that had been clawing at the back of his mind. "And if the Confederation decides not to accept humanity's application for membership?" Morrison's smile returned, sharp and unsettling. "Commander, we respect the sovereignty of all species. If the Confederation decides against welcoming us, we will, of course, respect that decision. However," he paused, letting the weight of the word hang in the air, "humanity will still exist. We will still explore. We will still expand. And we will still defend ourselves." The unspoken implication was clear. Humanity's growth was inevitable, whether the Confederation chose to cooperate or not. They weren't asking for permission. They were extending an invitation. "Sir," Kate Davis interrupted, her voice cutting through the tension. "We're picking up a long-range transmission from another Confederation scout vessel. It seems they've detected our presence and are relaying the information back to their command." Morrison's demeanor remained unfazed. "Acknowledged. Let them send their report. In fact, ensure they have a clear path to transmit. Transparency, is key to building trust. Vexthul's mind raced. The humans weren't even attempting to conceal their actions anymore. They wanted the Confederation to know exactly what they were capable of. This was no longer a secret encounter. It was a deliberate introduction to humanity's place in the galaxy. "Commander Vexthul," Morrison said, his tone softening slightly. "You have a choice. You can leave here as an ambassador of peace, carrying humanity's message of cooperation and mutual growth to your leaders. Or you can leave with the weight of what you've seen and the knowledge of what it might mean if we were ever forced to stand alone." The alien commander swallowed hard, his four hearts pounding in unison. "I will deliver your message, Commander Morrison, and I will strongly recommend that our leadership considers your proposal carefully." "Good," Morrison replied, his smile turning warm. "I'm confident they'll see the value in a partnership with humanity. Safe travels, Commander." As the silent wind began to retreat, the human ships held their positions, their ominous presence a lingering reminder of what lay beneath humanity's friendly overtures. Vexthul could only hope that his superiors would recognize the truth in Morrison's words. This wasn't just a new species entering the galactic stage, it was a reckoning. Humanity wasn't here to join the galaxy. Morrison turned back to the comm channel, his demeanor as cordial as ever. "Admiral Korak, we appreciate your prompt response to your scout ship's distress call. It speaks to the Confederation's commitment to its own. However, you should know that your fleet's current position is suboptimal." On the Stellar Pride, Admiral Korak frowned. "Explain." "With pleasure," Morrison replied. "Your fleet's deployment places you within overlapping firing arcs of not only our ships, but also automated defense platforms in this sector. Platforms, I might add, that we deployed several weeks ago in preparation for just such an occasion. Your fleet is now effectively surrounded," Korak's tactical officer whispered in his ear, confirming Morrison's claim. The Admiral's expression darkened. "You would dare," Morrison interrupted, his tone sharp but still polite. "Admiral, humanity has no intention of initiating hostilities. But you must understand, this meeting was never an accident. We knew you would come. We've prepared extensively, and we are more than capable of defending ourselves if provoked." On board the Thunder Bay, Admiral Susan White's holographic form stepped forward. "Admiral Korak," she began, her voice carrying the weight of authority, "I am Admiral Susan White, commander of the Terran Defense Force 5th Fleet. The situation is not as dire as it may seem. We're here to negotiate, not to fight. But make no mistake, humanity will not be intimidated." The Stellar Pride's bridge fell silent. Korak was no fool. The humans had demonstrated overwhelming technological superiority, tactical foresight, and an unsettling mastery of information warfare. Yet they had made no hostile moves despite having every opportunity to do so. "You want to join the Confederation," Korak said finally, his voice laced with skepticism. "Indeed," White replied. "Humanity seeks a partnership, not domination. We recognize the value of unity in a galaxy as vast and dangerous as ours. But we also recognize strength, Admiral. We hope the Confederation does as well." "And if we say no?" Korak pressed. Morrison answered this time, his voice steady. "Then humanity will continue as it always has, exploring, expanding, and defending ourselves. But we sincerely hope it doesn't come to that. The galaxy is large enough for all of us, don't you think?" Korak exchanged a look with his officers. The humans' confidence was unnerving, but their restraint was even more so. They had the power to obliterate the 4th Fleet, and yet had chosen diplomacy instead. "I will take your request to the Confederation Council," Korak said at last. "But know this, our trust will not come easily." "We wouldn't expect it to," White said with a nod. "Trust is earned, Admiral, and we intend to earn it." The communication. Channel closed, and on the Thunder Bay, the tension on the bridge eased. Morrison turned to White. Think they'll see reason? White's hologram smiled faintly. If they don't, we'll make sure they do. But for now, you've done excellent work, Morrison. Prepare the fleet for withdrawal. Let's give them time to think, as the human ships began to disappear once more into the void. Admiral Korak watched in silence, realizing that this encounter had not been a display of arrogance, but a carefully calculated invitation. A reminder that humanity was no longer an emerging species. Humanity's entrance into the galactic stage had been nothing short of a masterclass in strategic diplomacy, underpinned by an overwhelming display of technological and tactical superiority. The shift was seismic, and everyone present understood its implications. Humanity had secured its place not by demanding submission, but by presenting itself as an indispensable ally, one whose strength could stabilize a fractured galaxy. As the final human ship disappeared from sensors, Commander Vexthul stood motionless, on the bridge of the silent wind. Around him, his crew whispered in hushed tones, their minds struggling to process what had just occurred. "Sir," his science officer finally said, breaking the silence, "do you think they'll keep their promises?" Vexthul exhaled slowly, his multiple hearts still pounding. "They've kept every promise so far, haven't they? They promised not to attack, and they didn't. They promised to help, and they've demonstrated they can. But most importantly, they promised they were prepared for peace or war, and they've shown they can deliver either. Then, we should be cautious. We should be wise," Vexthul corrected, turning to face his crew. "Humanity has made it clear they are not to be underestimated. We must approach them with respect and careful diplomacy. Their goals may align with ours now, but they've already shown they can shape the galaxy as they see fit." The crew nodded, solemnly. Vexthul could see the same thought in every pair of eyes. Humanity had offered them a choice. Cooperation was the sensible path, but the unspoken truth was clear. Resistance was futile. In the weeks that followed, the Confederation Council deliberated furiously over humanity's request. Every argument was made, every fear aired, and every contingency examined. But in the end, the decision was unanimous. Humanity was granted membership in the Galactic Confederation, not as subordinates or probationary members, but as full equals, and as humanity took its seat at the table, the galaxy braced itself for a future where the rules had irrevocably changed. For better or worse, the balance of power had shifted. Humanity was here to stay, and they had brought with them a promise.